Welcome back to another Saturday door knocking session with your boy Brandon. Well, let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about getting started in real estate. This is the hardest thing to do. This is what everybody wants. Everybody wants to get in real estate. They want the passive income. They want the assets. They want tenants, paying down their debt for them, right? Like it all sounds great. But getting started, you guys, that's where everybody struggles. Everybody's just like, man, how do I do it? How do I save up 20% down? How do I, manage tenants? How do I get the loan? How do I, this, that, and the other? How do I find the property? How do I comp the property? How do I know if it's a good deal? All of that stuff, right? Well, I can solve a vast majority of those questions with this one thing. Get a W-2 job. Get a W-2 job. Be there for at least a year. You need 2 years of consistent job history, but at least 1 year at your current place, right? While you're working at that W-2 job, and this is critical, it has to be enough for you to be able to afford a house. Brandon, how do I know if I'm making enough to afford a house? Talk to a lender. But a lender is going to be much more happy to work with you if you're actively working on getting your credit to 700 or above, you have a W-2 job with consistent, verifiable income, and you are saving for a down payment. So, how do I start? Well, I would recommend, this is what I did. I got a W-2 sales job. Yes, you can do 1099, but lenders, not even just lenders, the banks, the people who are giving you the money, they don't like that. They don't like that because it's inconsistent. 1099 workers, right? Whether you're a salesperson, you're your own business, you're an entrepreneur, all of that is risky, right? Working for Nike, working for McDonald's, working for an established business, that the lenders love to hear that. Oh, you're a W-2 employee at a multinational company, right? Oh, you work for the government. Oh, you've been at the same job making, the same pay and more overtime for the last 10 years. Ooh, consistent. Not risky at all. That's a safe bet. That's what the banks want. They want you to be a safe bet. So just give them that. Go get a W-2 job. Make sure you're making enough, right? And it depends where you are, right? Like here, where I'm at in Portland, Oregon, you probably need to at least make $30 an hour on W-2. If you have a W-2 job for $18 an hour, you're probably not going to be able to buy anything here in the Portland surrounding areas, right? And if you're in Florida, right, like maybe $30 an hour is like a really great income, but you can still get by on 22 an hour, and the only way to know that is to go talk to a local lender. Call them up. They want to hear from you. They spend thousands of dollars a month trying to get people like you to call them. They want to talk to you, right? And look, man, they'll work with you. Like, oh, hey, my credit's not that great. They'll tell you how to fix your credit, right? Oh, hey, I'm struggling to save a down payment. Okay, cool. Well, they know exactly what's going on, man. They know the numbers, right? Like they can say, okay, hey, you're spending this much on housing, you're spending this much on, and they may not want to sit there and budget your whole life with you, but if you find somebody who really cares, right, like that's like wanting to work with you and help you out, it's pretty simple, right? It's pretty simple. Like, hey, you're spending too much. You either need to make more or spend less, right? And they can give you some solid advice, right? They deal with people with financial stuff all day long. So, save up for a down payment. However you got to do that. And if that means you got to work 2 or 3 jobs, do it. Work on your credit. Don't ever miss a payment, ever, no matter what. Make the minimum payments no matter what, even if you have to sell your own blood. Just do it, right? And then consistency at the job, right? Don't be job hopping all over the place. Jumping from job to job to job is not consistent. Banks don't like that. Consistency, stay at the same. Even if you hate it. I hated my job. But it was a W-2 and it afforded me enough to buy a house. So I stuck it out, even though I hated it, because it was going to help me get a house. And within 13 months of doing all those things, saving up money, and I started with only $1,200. I remember very clearly $1,200, and that's when I made a decision. I was like, I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm tired of not having enough money. Tired of a landlord, tired of a boss. I'm going to do something different. So I had $1,200, saved up the down payment. My credit was like in the low to mid sixes. So like I didn't start off doing great either, right? And all of that was fixed in 13 months of hard work. But I did it. And I was able to buy a house. So that's how you get started in real estate, right? You do those 3 things. That gets you pre-qualified for a loan. Now that you've done those things, now you're pre-qualified for a loan. What kind of asset do you want? Well, if you're just kind of struggling by, you might only be able to get yourself a single family or a duplex. You might be able to get a triplex or a fourplex, right? Obviously talk to your lender. Typically, in my experience, it's easier to get multifamily properties because you have other people helping pay the bill. So that's the important part, you guys. It's not just me paying the mortgage, it's Unit A and Unit B, and sometimes Unit C. And if you're really lucky and you get a 4-unit building, it's 3 other people and you paying this mortgage. Obviously, the mortgage will be more expensive on a bigger property, right? Because it's a bigger property, it's more expensive. That's just how it works. And it's an income producing asset. So I typically tell people, do whatever you can at first. Like, here's your worst case scenario. Lower what you're currently paying. If you're currently paying $1,500 a month in rent, go buy a duplex. And as long as what you have to pay on your side is $1,200, $1,000, maybe $800, right? If you're lowering your cost of living, that's a win. That's a win. If you can cash flow, that's an even bigger win. But like that's like a home run, right? If you can buy an asset in cash flow within the first year, that's amazing. Good job, right? But just for people getting started, and this is what I did, right? I bought a single family house because I didn't know about buying triplexes and fourplexes and how it was such a better wealth builder and income producing, all that stuff. But I just bought a house. And if you're not comfortable with that, if you're not comfortable with being a landlord just yet, that's fine. Buy a house, make sure it's very affordable, make sure your payment, your PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, make sure that is affordable to a renter. Like if you bought this property, could you immediately, let's say you had a death in the family, you had to move, 5 states away, could you immediately rent this out and at least break even? And if you think you're breaking even, you're not. You're losing money, right? If you're not cash flowing on a rental property, you're losing money because of either management, because of repairs, vacancies, taxes will increase, insurance will increase, all that stuff. But, buy a house. And that's what I did too. I bought a house, but it was a split level house. So I took the upstairs, I rented out the downstairs, right? So I took a regular house, I bought as much as I could possibly afford, and I turned it into an asset by renting out the bottom. You may or may not want to do that. Honestly, I tell people, if you want a duplex scenario, like what I created in my house, just go buy a duplex. They're not that much more expensive, and I promise you and your renter will appreciate the privacy. And if you're going to buy a duplex, why not get a triplex? And if you're going to do a triplex, just go all the way to a fourplex, right? So that's my opinion, right? You can do whatever you want. But how do you know if it's a good deal? Like I said, you lower your cost of living, right? If you're paying $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month to live right now, go buy something that either keeps it the same or lowers it. In fact, honestly, let's be real. Have you ever had your rent raised? Yes. So even if you're paying $2,500 a month, and you go buy a duplex or a triplex and it raises your monthly payment to $2,750, I might still be okay with that, because in the next year or two, your landlord's going to raise your rent to $2,750. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, rents are always going to go up over time. They just will, with inflation. And trust me, I'm a landlord. I raise rents because inflation, cost of materials, cost of labor, taxes, insurance, CapEx expenses, all these things that you're going to have to deal with, they reduce the value of your asset. So you have to charge more. You have to, you know, like when the price of ingredients for cookies goes up, they have to raise the price of the cookie. That's just how it goes. And if you don't like it, I understand. I don't like when the price of my cookies goes up either. But it is what it is, right? You either pay it or you don't. It's up to you, right? If you want the cookie bad enough, if you want a place to live in that area, right? You could always go to different areas that's cheaper, right? So anyways, I just wanted to make this quick video about how to get started in real estate. If you guys have any questions, if I missed anything, if I glossed over anything, please let me know in the comments down below. I got to knock this door. Peace.